Hello again. Today I'd like to talk to some of the newer people. If they haven't been had the opportunity to start studying their Bible, I would highly recommend it. Whether you have one on your shelf or whether you want to start looking at it on your phone or other device, then it's a great thing to do. It will change your life. But it can be it can seem like a daunting task in that it's a book of many books. The Bible is basically divided into two main sections, the Old Testament and the New Testament, or you could call it the Old Covenant and the New Covenant. And a covenant is an agreement between God and men where God makes the stipulations of the covenant, and we then have the option to accept it or to deny it. But it's not like back and forth where we say, well, let's do this, and God says, no, I don't want to do that. I mean, it's His way, and then the option we have is, if we don't like it, to reject it. And I hope nobody would take that option. But the Old Testament is basically a history book of the Jewish nation. It starts with creation, of course, and then the main next story is the flood, and then we meet Abraham's family and Abraham, who is the father of the Jewish religion, of the Christian religion, and even the Muslim religion. Abraham's the father of us all, just like God promised he would be. But Abraham was called to go to the promised land, and his descendants would become a nation there. And that all happened just as God said. Well, Leviticus then is the book that's Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus is the book where there were sacrifices, laws, ritual rules that they had to follow to make their sacrifices, because the wages of sin is death. And thankfully, God was willing to accept the death of an animal in place of the worshiper. But that's the obsolete part. Jesus is the perfect sacrifice now. And so when we get to the New Testament, we read all about him. And that's what I'd like to ask you to start to do. Even though the Bible is a book, it's a book of books, as I said. But as a result, then you don't have to start with page one. You don't have to read all of Genesis, then Exodus, then wade through Leviticus if you ever make it that far. And you're going to probably get so bored you're going to quit reading. So I say start with the New Testament, because that's where we are in the 21st century. We are New Testament Christians and believers, or people. Even if you're an unbeliever, we still relate more to the New Testament, because that's where God took the message to the world for all of us Gentiles who are non-Jews. And so Christianity has been opened up to Jews and Gentiles alike. Anyway, the first four books, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, are accounts of the life and death of Jesus and resurrection. And they're similar. They're called the Gospels because gospel means good news. And so if you start with Matthew and then you go to Mark and then you go to Luke, this is what happened to me. I thought, I read this before. Is every book the same? So, no, they're not the same. Some of those authors include some things that a couple of the other authors didn't, and some elaborate a little bit more and that sort of thing. But I would recommend that you start with the Gospel of John. John's Bible or Gospel is a little more spiritual, I think, than others. And I get more of a blessing from John. So I would recommend to you to start there. You can start wherever you want, of course, but John is a good place to start. The next book is Acts. Acts is a history book of the early church and of the Apostle Paul and his dealings, his travels, and his evangelism, and even his conversion is in there. And so it's a good book if you like history. And I didn't like history in school, so I was bored with Acts at first. But I have grown to love the book of Acts. It is chock full of information. It has so much good news to share with us as Christians. So, but just don't start with Acts. The next book is Romans, and it's a wonderful book too, but it also is a complicated book to understand. Very confusing. So a new person would most likely get overwhelmed or lost in the book of Romans. So I would say skip it for now if you're new. And then the next book is First Corinthians, and First Corinthians is, to me, a book on how not to do a church. Everything that you ever wanted to do wrong in church is listed for us in First Corinthians. So it's good reading, but I'd like for new people to get something more beneficial to building them up, not Paul's criticisms of everything that they did wrong. And Paul was right in criticizing them. They were doing some terrible things. Good reading. So anyway, I would suggest after John, then go to Second Corinthians, because it is a continuation of sorts. First Corinthians deals with other lighter, more positive things, however. Then there's the book of James. A lot of people say go there early on. I agree. It's easy to understand, very straightforward. No real mysteries there. So skip the book of Hebrews for now. I'm not telling you what they are in order. I'm just telling you what to read first and what to skip first. So skip Hebrews. It's a fantastic book, one of my favorites, but it's very complicated, and you need to have a little bit of information in your mind about God and about Jesus and about the Bible and all of that before you can understand the book of Hebrews. So then so skip that one. Then First and Second Peter are good. You have Titus. They're little books, Titus and Philemon and Jude. Those are great books too. They're only very one or two chapters. Anyway, then eventually you're going to get to the book of Revelation. It's the last one in the New Testament. I would say skip that until you're ready for it. You can read it, but don't expect to know much more after you're done than when you started. The first three or so chapters are good to know. You would benefit by reading them, but the rest of it is all symbolism, prophecy, things that haven't happened yet, and it can be very complex and even scary if you don't have your faith rooted in Jesus yet. So that's my advice to you. I hope it helps somewhat. You can take it or leave it. I'm just trying to help you. I want people to know God, to understand God, and to be in a love relationship with God. And the Bible is the best place to start to do that. However, you can get lost with some of the things that I had already talked about here. So start with the New Testament, start with John, go to Second Corinthians, then there's James, there's First and Second Peter. Those are all good books. Titus, Philemon, Jude, those are all good books. So you can't go wrong. Start with the easy stuff, then graduate to the harder stuff. Thanks for listening. If you would mind, hit the subscribe button and the like button. It helps to get the algorithm built, or however it works. It sends my videos to more and more people, and that's what I'd like to do. And if I get to 50, then I can even go live, and I'd really like to do that and take your questions. Okay, God bless. Have a great day and happy reading. Be expecting your life to change. Bye-bye.